Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Congregation Adis Emuno. A special welcome this morning to Maia Boyd and to her family and friends, some of whom are sitting here in the sanctuary, others of us are joining in via the live stream this morning. I'm Rabbi Barry Schwartz, Cantor Iris Carlin, our accompanist Beth Robin, and let me thank at the beginning as well Lauren and Michael, who are assisting in the live stream of our service. Before we begin the Shabbat morning service, Maia, as a bat mitzvah, will be wearing a talit for the first time. It's a special talit, and so I'd like to ask her grandfather to present Maia with this talit. Jan, would you just tell us about the talit for a second, whose talit it was?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather's. Beautiful, beautiful.
To my dad. To me.
To your dad, to you, to your granddaughter.
My marvelous family. My delicious kids.
Thank you. The blessing that we say for the talit is Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lehit'atef Batzitzit. Amen. Our Shabbat morning service begins in the prayer book that some of us have in front of us. If you don't have it, don't worry, just join along and listen along with the traditional words of welcome to the synagogue, Ma Tovu, on page 74. An opening reading on page 66. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of peace and gratitude, overflowing with love and joy. They are eager to confront the day, to make the world a better place. They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune. We rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily on them. Families have been broken. Loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken a cherished loved one. May our presence and caring bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. Ideals are betrayed and mocked. Answers sought in vain. life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore our hope and renew our faith. Responsively, alternating lines with me on the next page. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
We continue in gratitude with the singing of the 150th Psalm, the Hallelujah Psalm, page 100. Ancient call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 108, please rise. Please be seated. On page 110, in thanks for the world around us, the world of light and dark and nature, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. On page 112, Ahava Rabba Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu, Hemla Gedola V'Terah Halmata Aleinu. How deeply have you loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava. In the middle of the page, v'harer enenu, enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. For the affirmation of our faith, the Shema and the V'ahavta, page 114, and Maia will lead us.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlatecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leod al yadecha vehayu levtotafod b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'yisharecha Leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'itam kedoshim lelo lechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
When our ancestors went from slavery to freedom in the Exodus, they gave thanks for this freedom with the singing of the Mi Chamocha. We don't take our freedom for granted, and we continue to sing this song of thanks, Mi Chamocha, page 122.
Shir זכות ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובדרך קדמך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
For the tefillah prayer that links our faith with the faith of our ancestors, page 124, please rise.
Adonai sefartai tita ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chazdei Avot V'imaot U'Mevi Geula Livnei Vneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Oshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Hayim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berakarim Barim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Me'amunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha B'Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Meimid Umekayem Umatzmi Yeshua V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Keshem shemaqdishim oto b'shmemam Kekatuv היה נביאך וקרא זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי אני אדוני אלוהיכם ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד גואלך ולנצח מתלכים קדושך נגדיל
Please be seated. On page 135, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh HaShabbat. On page 136, Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu, find favor, Adonai our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. On page 141, a prayer of peace, a prayer of well-being for our country, which could use it. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai. Hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. The previous page, Sim Shalom.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Join me. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. חן וחסד ורחמים. חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עלינו ועל כל תושבי תבל. על כל תושבי תבל. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה.
Shalom means peace, wholeness, reconciliation, healing. On this Shabbat now, we pause for a few moments to summon the shalom of the Shabbat, the peace and wholeness of the Sabbath, into our own hearts, because we know if there's no shalom on the inside, there's no shalom on the outside in our families and in our communities. So we pause to summon the spirit of shalom, and then we'll sing another song of shalom, Oseh Shalom. May the one who makes peace above bring peace to us.
שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל.
We're ready for Sefer Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of the Torah. When we take the scroll from the ark, we'll be passing the scroll symbolically from door to door, generation to generation, grandparents, parents, bat mitzvah. It's our way of expressing symbolically the importance we attach to the bequeathing of our heritage from one generation to the next. For the reading of the Torah, page 244, please rise.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך. מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. הרחמים היטיב ברצונך,
Please be seated. This morning in the book of Numbers, we're reading from the Torah portion called Korach. Korach is a name. It's the name of a member of the tribe of Levite who incites a rebellion against Moses and Aaron. Actually, it's a family member. Korach is a first cousin to Moses, and he is what we call today, and what we'll be hearing more about, a demagogue. He has a populist message. On the face of it, it sounds reasonable. He and 250, let's remember, he recruited ringleaders with him from among the tribes, come to Moses and Aaron and says, "Who gave you the authority to rule over Israel by yourselves? Isn't the whole congregation, the entire people, holy? Shouldn't you be sharing power?" It sounds like a reasonable populist message. But as we find out later, and as the sages comment, Korach was in it for a power grab. He didn't actually want to share power. He wanted to amass it just for himself and for his ringleaders. His motives were very, very suspect. We'll be drawing more lessons from the story of Korach, and we'll be chanting from the opening lines. It's one of a series of tests to the strength of the community that come up time and again as the Israelites are trying to hold it together as they wander through the desert for those 2 generations and are now getting closer to entering the promised land. Ya'amod harishon Yitzhak Chaya Shira Shaya Bat Shira. We call forward the first Aliyah to the Torah, Jan and Karen and Stacy and Sophie. Maya, come forward. On this side. Over here. Here's big letters. If somebody wants to hold that up.
Big is good.
Yeah, big is good.
Can everyone see it?
Okay.
Are we
open.
going?
Yes. Baruch.
Yes, Mom. That way.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim Venatan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kehat ben Levi v'Datan v'Aviram b'nei Eliav v'on ben Pelet b'nei Reuven Vayakumu lifnei Moshe va'anashim mibnei Yisrael amishim u'matayim nesiyei edah Kriye moed anshe Shem Vayikahalu al Moshe ve'al Aharon Vayomer aleihem Rav lachem Ki hol ha'eta kulam kedoshim Va'anashim Adonai Umadua titnasu al kehal Adonai.
Second blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Are you allowed to hug these people? Yes. Okay.
Tell me when.
Ya'amod Hasheni Yael Bat Chaya V'Yitzchak Avigail. We call forward the second Aliyah to the Torah, Jill, Abigail, and Ernie.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav Vaydaber el Korach v'toladato lemor boker v'yoda Adonai et asher lo v'takadosh v'hikriv elav v'et asher yikvar bo yikriv elav Zot asu kehu lachem machtot korach v'tchol adato utnu vahen esh v'simu alehen ketoret lifnei Adonai mahar v'haya ha'ish asher yivchar Adonai hu hakadosh rav lahem b'nei Levi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Are you allowed to hug these people? Yes. Ya'amod Hashlishi Maia Bat Yael. We call forward the third Aliyah to the Torah, Maia. Where's Maia?
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Moshe el Korach at mikem ki hivdil Elohei Yisrael etchem mahar Yisrael Me'edat Yisrael lahakriv etchem elav la'avod et avodat mishkan Adonai v'la'amod lifnei ha'edah l'shartam v'yakrev otcha v'tolachecha b'nei Levi itach uvikashtem gam kehuna. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Well done. You can take a seat. Just a little break. While the Torah is still before us, it is customary to offer the special prayer of healing, the Misha Barak prayer. We ask you to call to mind those of your loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or a healing of soul, as the cantor leads us in the healing prayer.
I promised, just a second, I'll give the page number to Maya as well. Maya, if you find it before me, my apologies. Should have written it down. Oh, page 253. You're coming up to see me?
As the Torah is held high, as we wrap and hold the Torah, please rise. V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. seated. Each Torah portion has a supplemental portion in the second part of the Hebrew Bible, the prophets, called the Haftarah. The sages always found a thematic connection between the two, and it's not hard to understand why they chose the passage that we read today from the first book of Samuel. It's the point in ancient Israelite history where the people come to Samuel and demand a king. They say, we want to be like all the other nations around us. In order to compete with them, in order to manage, we need a king, not just a prophet. At first, Samuel is really heartbroken about this and speaks to the people and said, in all the years that I have led this country according to the word of God and the Torah, have I ever let you down? Has ever anything happened? And they say no, but they persisted with the call for a king. The prophet Samuel consults God, and God says, if they want a king, give them a king. But warn them about the abuses of power that will come with a king. And so in this passage, there's a warning that is repeated in the book of Deuteronomy and here in the first book of Samuel. A king will rule over you, and this king may bring empire to you, but the king will bring slavery to you, abuse of power, taxes, taking what is yours, and be very, very careful. And make sure, the prophet Samuel says, that the king is always accountable to the Torah in the same way that we say today, even the president must be accountable to the Constitution. For ultimately, according to the Torah, and this has had a powerful effect on Western civilization, ultimately the leader is responsible to the people and to the laws that the people themselves make. We call forward Maia for chanting of the opening verses of this important Haftarah portion with the opening Haftarah and closing Haftarah blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayomer Shmuel el kol Yisrael hinei hamati b'kolchem l'chol asher amartem li v'ratza aleichem melech. Va'ata hinei hamelech mitalech lifneichem va'ani zakanti v'asavti uvanai hinam itchem va'ani hitalekti lifneichem minurai al hayom hazeh. Hineni anu vi neged Adonai v'neged Meshicho et shor mi lakachti v'chamor mi lakachti v'tzmi ashakti Ashakti et mi ratzoti umiyad mi lakakti hofer va'alim einai bo va'ashiv lachem. Vayomru lo ashaktanu velo ratzotanu velo lakachta min miyadish me'uma. Vayomer alehem et Adonai bachem vet Meshicho hayom hazeh ki lo mitzatem biyadi me'uma vayomer et. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el hane'eman ha'omer v'yoseh hamdaber umkayeh shechol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod ultifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Having heard the Torah and the Haftarah chanted as beautifully as we did this morning, we're ready to return the scroll to the ark. We return in our prayer book to page 256. Please rise.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו.
Please be seated. We ask that every bar and bat mitzvah student, as Abby well remembers, not only prepare the chanting of the Torah and the Haftarah, but also to study with us and to glean a message from the Torah portion. This is presented in what's called a Devar Torah, literally a word, a commentary on the Torah, otherwise known as the speech. And so we'd like to ask Maia to share her thoughts about the Torah portion now.
Hey, I'm Maia, as I'm sure you all know. Anywho, my Torah portion, the story of Korach, is a very compelling one. It features scenes of questioning your leaders, having enemies, and going against your own family. Even though Korach is Moses' cousin, he is also the leader of a rebellion that goes against Moses. Korach's rebellion and his followers stood for what Moses didn't stand for, which was to challenge Moses' and Aaron's leadership and get people to believe that Moses was an unfit leader. On the face of it, Korach's views on things were understandable, a little more inclusive and speaking for people who didn't have a voice. Korach and his followers seemed to believe that everyone could and should be leaders. There shouldn't be one person or two people who hold all of the power. Everyone should get a fair and equal say in how something is run, how something works, and how everyone will lead. Korach says to Moses, "You have gone too far, for all the community are holy, all of them, and the Eternal is in their midst. Why then do you raise yourselves above the Eternal's congregation?" Korach is asking Moses and Aaron why they think that because they are leaders, they are going to rise above and be above all of their people. After Moses hears what a lot of people were thinking, the Torah says he fell flat on his face. Not literally, but his expression becomes sad. Korach knows that a lot of people are thinking that Moses and Aaron should let everyone have a say and be part of the decision-making, and that everyone is a leader. So Korach takes advantage of the situation and speaks out on the issue. The problem is that while Korach's argument seems to make sense on the surface, his real motivation might have been to grab power away from Moses. The Torah says that Korach is wrong and he supposedly gets swallowed up in an earthquake. The rabbis later say that Korach is in it for himself, not for others. In other words, Korach's true intentions are not good, even though his message seems to be reasonable. The story of Korach has several lessons to teach us. Two of the more noticeable lessons are, first, there are two sides to every story, and second, to gain power effectively, being able to delegate the power so it's not only being handled by the leader is an admirable quality they should possess to be the best possible leader they can be. The first lesson relates directly to Korach. This is so because Korach deems Moses and Aaron to be unfit leaders and challenges them for their position so he can be leader of the people. However, the real side of Korach is shown when it's found that he doesn't really care about leading the people or being a good leader. Instead, he wants all the power to himself, according to the Torah and the Talmud. The conclusion of this lesson is, when a leader says he speaks for the people, you have to make sure that you're looking beneath the surface for their true intentions. The second lesson is that in order to be a truly good leader, and if you want to acquire and maintain power, learn how to share it amongst other people. In our story, Moses and Aaron were good people. They did many mitzvahs. They served God. They were dedicated to the Israelites. However, when one or two people, even Moses and Aaron, have all of the power, it can make average citizens feel like they have no power and cannot speak up to effect change. That may make the people feel as though what they do or say doesn't count. It may make them feel as though they don't have necessary power to be part of the future of their own community. All in all, these are two very relevant themes in my Torah portion. Remember that when a leader or rebel talks, there are two sides to every story, and people can be hypocritical. Further, if you want power, you're going to have to learn to share with the people in order to make a better and more fair community. Otherwise, you might get swallowed up in an earthquake like Korach did, whether it's a real earthquake or a political one. The lessons of leadership in my Torah portion can be applied to the former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, from when I wrote this speech back in December of 2020. Please understand that I have strong opinions about him, and it runs in my family. We learned that Korach wasn't honest. He said one thing and did another. Here's one example of Trump doing the same thing. In the second presidential debate, Trump said, "I am the least racist person in this room." Yet he said this about Hispanic people: "They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with them. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people." In another instance, and there are too many to name, during a press conference following the death of a young woman at a racist rally, Trump also talked about there being very fine people on both sides. The problem is that one side was made up of white nationalists and white supremacists. We learned that Korach was only in it for himself and wanted to gobble up all of the power. I believe that same thing about Trump. As I was writing this, he clearly and repeatedly displayed he did not want to let go of the power he had amassed. He kept saying there was fraud everywhere, but was lying in every instance. He hurt and divided our country as never before seen in our history. I would like to make a final comment. I think Trump is a terrible person and should never have been elected president. It scares me that so many people didn't see through his antics or how unfit Trump was as a leader when the proof was evident and the truth was undeniable. Like the followers of Korach, it is easy to be misled. All in all, I believe Trump isn't a man of honor in any way. He deserves to be convicted of multiple crimes and rot in jail. As my speech preparation time came to an end, I was ecstatic to conclude that thankfully we had a new, truthful, and sane president. Volunteering is easy to do, and it has such a big impact of the lives of the people you're helping. On my journey to becoming a bat mitzvah, I had the opportunity to collect and donate items for a veterans organization known as the Military Order of the Purple Heart. More commonly known as the Purple Heart Foundation, the group raises money that is used to assist veterans facing exceptionally difficult financial challenges and is committed to enhancing the quality of life for veterans and their families. Over the past year, I, along with the help of my family, cleaned out closets, cabinets, drawers in our basement that were full of clothes, toys, books, shoes, and more. I filled close to 20 huge garbage bags and donated them to the Purple Heart Foundation. At the end of the day, it makes me feel so good to know that I helped families in need. I chose this as my mitzvah project because I've been fortunate. Many of the things I had were being stored because I no longer needed them, but weren't thrown out because they were in perfectly good condition. It felt really good to donate everything, knowing someone else who may need or want something I had would put them to good use. This project also allowed me to go green and extend their life, rather than having them be tossed in a landfill. Everyone in my life does so much for me, and I can't thank them and love them enough. First, I'd like to thank my mom and dad. Mom, I love you more than words can express, and I want to thank you for everything you do for me and how supportive you are of me in everything I do. Dad, thank you so much for pushing me to my limits so that I can be my best. You're the best dad anyone could have, and I'm so glad you're mine. Abby, even though we don't always agree on everything, I love you to the moon and back, and I want to thank you for giving great advice and being there for me. I also want to thank my grandparents, my Aunt Stacy, and my younger cousin Sophie for loving me no matter what. It makes me so happy spending time with all of you. To my aunts Leslie, Anika, and Marcia, and cousins and extended family, who I don't get to see as often as I'd like, I love you and thank you for your love and encouragement. Two other huge thanks that I have to give are to Rabbi Schwartz and Cantor Carlin. Rabbi, you've been with me at Hebrew school since the first day I stepped foot into the synagogue 7 years ago. You're so much fun and super sweet, and I'm going to miss seeing you at religious school a great deal. Cantor Carlin, although you've only been at Adas Emuno for this last but most impactful year, it feels like I've known you for way longer. Your voice is beautiful, and I had an amazing time studying the Torah with you. Also, I'd like to thank my 7th grade teachers, Raina and Michael. Michael, you always helped me do my best when reading Hebrew, and I enjoyed being in your class so much. Raina, I always had the best times in your class, and I love your enthusiasm and your joy. Plus my class, Kale, Owen, Ellis, David, Leo, Charlotte, and Jamie. Most of you have attended Hebrew school with me since I was in kindergarten, and I feel that I've connected in some way with each and every one of you. I loved knowing that I had friends when I headed into the synagogue every Sunday morning. Lastly, I'd like to thank some of my best friends, Luna, Gabby, and Alia. The 3 of you have been at my side through my ups and downs, and I hope that I'm there for you as often. Especially with this pandemic, I've come to realize how important my friends are. I love you 3, and I know that you'll be part of my life for a very long time. In the end, everyone I've mentioned here and anyone else I may have missed, you all mean the world to me, and I have absolutely no idea what I do without your friendship, love, and laughs. Throughout the preparation leading up to my bat mitzvah, I've come to learn that perfecting my parashah, haftarah, blessings, and speech took time. Everything was much harder, considering I had to practice everything over many, many Zooms. Nevertheless, Cantor Carlin, Rabbi Schwartz, and I persevered. To be honest, it wasn't just the three of us. Everyone attending my bat mitzvah, whether virtual or in person, endured. Everyone who made this possible endured. All of the chanting and talking means that practice makes perfect. I had to work, and in the end, it all turned out great. Although I truly wish that everyone watching on a screen right now could be here with me face to face, you've all made it worth it. After my bat mitzvah, I will continue to affirm my Jewish identity by doing mitzvahs whenever and wherever I can. I'll also continue to celebrate the Jewish holidays and cherish the time that I have with my family and friends. Being Jewish is important to me, and after my bat mitzvah, I'll make sure to chant all the prayers, continue all the important traditions, celebrate all the holidays, keep my faith in God, and someday maybe even go to Israel. I love everyone a great deal. I thank you, and I hope to see you all in person soon.
Maia, that was a powerhouse speech, let me tell you. And I remember us working on it while political events were swirling around this country like we hadn't seen before. And you probably don't remember this, and even your folks don't know this, but at our very first session, when I got to that question, which is always the hardest question that I ask the students, what are your unique qualities? Do you remember what you answered? I don't think so, right. Well, the first thing you said was that you were educated and well-informed, which is not only true, but it comes with a sensitivity from the learning. And then the second thing you said was you were strong-minded and you had strong opinions, which, as you said earlier, runs in the family as well. And you expressed that in a very keen way today, but also reflecting the nuances of the lessons that you learned from your Torah portion. We're extremely proud of this entire accomplishment, and we have several brief presentations that we would like to make to express this pride. The first is from a member of our Board of Trustees who is presenting her words and the gift that we're giving you virtually this morning. As a matter of fact, Virginia Gitter actually now lives in Portland, Oregon, so this is from quite a distance, but I'd like to share her words this morning. She says, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and greetings from rainy Portland. It is such an honor for me to be able to participate today in Maia's special day. I have known Jill and her girls since they enrolled in our religious school. How beautiful those girls were and still are. The last bat mitzvah I attended before moving away was Abby's. I didn't know that. I didn't remember that. In October of 2018. I remember that day well, and I remember Maia being such a great little helper in setting up the social hall for Abby's Kiddush. I miss those days. Maia, I have enjoyed seeing and hearing you sing via Zoom this past year. You were amazing in the production of Joseph, and I understand you hope to join the Cantor's Choir when it gets going. What a treat that will be for all of us. I was also very impressed when your mom told me about your mitzvah project. I wasn't even aware of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, but thanks to you, I looked it up and made a donation in honor of your bat mitzvah. It's a wonderful organization. Today, I am honored on behalf of the Board of Trustees to present you with this Kiddush cup as you become a bat mitzvah. We hope you will find use for it when you celebrate Jewish holidays with your family. The congregation is always proud of our amazing students, and this year in particular, we applaud the students and their families for their perseverance and cooperation through challenging circumstances. Maia, mazel tov to you and your family on this special occasion. We hope you will continue your connection to Adas Emuno for many years to come. Shabbat Shalom, Virginia. And here is your Kiddush cup. Actually, when you open it, you'll see that it has your name on it. And now I'd like to call forward your parents to offer a few words.
I think this is gonna fall.
No.
I hope not. Don't start yet. Good morning, everyone. To all of you, far and near, thank you so much for taking the time out to share this special day with us. To those who were unable to join us today, thank you for the well wishes. Lastly, I want to acknowledge those friends and relatives whom we've lost over the years who are so proudly and lovingly watching from above. My heart is overflowing with joyful and proud emotion today. I'm usually a man of few words, but when it comes to talking about my daughters, I can go on forever. Maia Danielle, my Maia, my baby, my Nuna, my Nuni, my Nucci. Those are all the more common nicknames for Maia that you may hear inside the Boyd Castle at any given time. All of them refer to her sweet and loving personality. From the time Maia could open her eyes, and to this day, she displays a smile that can make you forget your anger, your hurt, your frustration, or any ill feelings you're dealing with at the time. Maia's smile, I guarantee you, will bring warmth to your heart. That's what I call a true and meaningful gift. Before becoming a father, I remember people telling me, when you have children, everything changes. And your life as you know it changes overnight. It's not about you anymore, etc., and so on. And guess what? It's all true. The minute your child is born, your thought process quickly starts its transformation. And by quickly, I mean from the time you leave the hospital to the time you return home. From the time you walk through your door, you are now and forever observing the world through the eyes of a parent. For me, it was as though my life had started over. And I must tell you, I was and still am highly excited about parenting. And I've come to find out my excitement generates from Maia and Abby. They make it exciting for me every day. Maia, my dear, I cannot be more proud and more excited about who you are. The way you've adapted to school, friends, social activities, and sports has just blown me away. Even more so, your intelligence, your interests, and efforts to maintain strong grades in school makes Mommy and me proud beyond words. Maia is like what they call in horse racing a dark horse. For those of you who may not be familiar with the expression, it's the one horse in the race that suddenly either appears from the back of the group or just out of nowhere and displays amazing grace, speed, and talent, or just displays the most impressive performance in the race. Like a beautiful dark horse, it seemed like one day out of nowhere, Maia, to our delight, began to excel in her studies, both here at Adas Emuno and in public school. She was developing impressive skills on the soccer field. She had overcome her shyness in public, And Jill and I also noticed how decent and respectful she was with her friends. All the attributes a parent would hope their child would develop seemed to occur naturally. This was truly a beautiful experience. Maya and I continue to have many conversations about current events, human interest stories, race issues, gender issues, various societal issues, conversations about local, national, and international topics. Generally topics that might be for older folks. These conversations took place more frequently this past year while we were at home due to the pandemic. And through these conversations, I've begun to better understand how Maya sees the world before her. Her thoughts, her opinions, and I must tell you, I am continuously impressed and thrilled with her understanding and interest in what many kids her age would find uninteresting or difficult to understand. Honestly, sometimes I walk away questioning my own level of intelligence. I understand this is not a miraculous circumstance. I know her progress has to do with the teachers and mentors who commit their time to her and do such a wonderful job with her. Jill and I appreciate and thank all of you for doing what you do. You are all truly gifted and wonderful. So thank you. So, Maya, I also want to thank you for the following things. Thank you for not complaining that there are fewer baby pictures of you than Abby. For being my in-house IT person and helping me learn cool things on my electronic devices. For continuing to greet me with hugs and kisses when I walk through the door from work for the last 13 years. For listening and singing the words to Seven Dust songs while Mommy and Abby are pleading with me, please turn it off. For getting Mommy and me ice cream when we are too lazy to go to the kitchen and get it ourselves. For being one of the most amazing and sweetest human beings I know. For loving, respecting, and understanding the importance of the word family, for what the word family truly means. And thank you for making all my dreams and miracles come true. As I recited words by Stevie Wonder for my darling Abby on her special day, I will read this one line written by Stevie for you, because it describes you so perfectly. I'll spare you all and not sing this time. You are the sunshine of my life. Mazel tov. Love you.
Dear Maya, to start off, I want to tell you how proud I am of you. Since the middle of last year, I've seen all of the hard work and dedication you've put into practicing your Torah portion and getting ready for this very day. Through all of the mental breakdowns, technical difficulties, and moments of crying laughter, you made it. I can't believe my baby sister, who I danced with in our little apartment in North Bergen, and who I jam with to songs like Vogue by Madonna and Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, is a teenager now. Pretty soon, I'll be driving you around, and we can move our jam sessions to the car so that Mom and Dad can't yell at us to turn the music down anymore. Thank you for the smiles you bring to my face each and every day. Although it might sound cheesy to say, without you, I don't know where I'd be. We might not get along every minute of the day, but what's important in the end is that we'll always be there for each other no matter the situation. I've seen you turn into a beautiful, intelligent, and crazy young woman. You brighten up everyone's day, and you continue to amaze me each step of the way. I love you forever. Love, your big sister.
Dear Maya, our little mush. Mush because since the day you were born, you were content. The definition of content is in a state of peaceful happiness. Peacefully happy, that's who you are. As a baby, you could care less who was holding you. You were peaceful and content. The first time I dropped you off at primetime daycare, you were peaceful and content. I could leave you in your bouncy seat or in the swing for hours. You were peaceful and content. The day I pulled that pacifier from your mouth for good, and boy, was I nervous about how you would react. You were peaceful and content. Your awareness of the time you're growing up in is a testament to what we wholeheartedly know is your potential. The intense political, racial equality, and social justice conversations we've had over this past year especially have reinforced our belief that you will pave a meaningful path, that you will make your mark on this world, having a positive and lasting impact on and for many people. The path you're already paving, applying for and being accepted into the 4 portfolio honors classes, math, science, language arts, and social studies in middle school, qualifying for principal's honor roll every marking period, and most recently, being nominated and inducted into the National Junior Honor Society. Maia, you care and are caring. You inspire and are inspirational. You love and are loving. You believe, all unconditionally. From little mush to amazing human, I am in awe of the young lady you've become. I am proud of you and I love you unconditionally. So proud.
Good job, honey.
Everybody did very well.
Thank you, Rosie.
Maya, should I be calling you Little Mush from now? I didn't put that on your bat mitzvah certificate. I put your beautiful Hebrew and English name. And so I do want to present you with this certificate as well, as another remembrance of this special day and this special accomplishment. As your mom just said, you will be finding your way, not just in your family and community, but in our country as a whole, with all the swirling discussions of politics and racial equality. And it's our hope and prayer that with the gifts that you have, that have been described this morning, especially by your parents, that you will be an influence for good. And even more than that, that you will be a blessing to those that meet you and interact with you. And speaking of blessings, we bestow upon you now the most ancient blessing of our people. It was Aaron, the brother of Moses, that first pronounced this blessing in the book of Numbers, the same book that your Torah portion is from. And it's a blessing called Birkat Shalom, blessing of peace, of shalom, that we say to this very day on many auspicious occasions. So I ask that if you come here and face the ark. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show you kindness and grant you peace. Amen. For the concluding segment of our service, we open the Ark of Final Time for the Aleinu prayer, the bottom of page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabach la'adon ha'kol Shalom Helkeinu Kahan, Vegoraleinu Kehohamonam.
אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נושא שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושינת עוזו, ושינת עוזו, בגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אינו, אמת מלכנו, אפס תורתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, ודעת היום והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו As we remain standing, our thoughts now turn to those of our loved ones no longer with us, for all those close to our hearts and for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish. We join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olamei al Maia. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechmata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Please be seated. Our Shabbat morning service will conclude with the singing of the classic song of the Shabbat Adon Olam on page 321, followed by our closing benediction.
Page 321.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נעשה בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. לה 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 לה
this time of joy, at every time of joy, we give thanks to God, our source of joy, by singing the Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.